I want to testify in Smith's defence.
I thought you said none of the officers had anything to add to this inquiry.
Mrs. Davidson doesn't know anything about this. I've only just decided to come forward myself. You see, I was a prisoner here for a while. I know how Officer Ferguson conducts herself when she thinks no one's looking.
She told him everything.
Everything?
Everything she knew, bless her little cotton socks.
So you got off?
Oh, not really. She couldn't prove anything. It was only hearsay, but her being a screw made all the difference.
So what did you get?
18 months for assault and 6 months for willful damage.
Well, that sounds like an awful lot,
Not
Bea.
really. The VJ made it concurrent with the sentence I'm serving now, so it's no extra time at all, really. It does affect my parole, of course, but for a minute there, I thought they were going to throw away the key. So I wouldn't panic if I were you, Chrissie. Could have been a hell of a lot worse.
I hear you testified against me.
Had your ear to the door, did you?
It's certainly nice to know what you think of solidarity between officers.
You had it coming.
I won't forget this.
You don't scare me. And if I were you, I wouldn't waste my time making threats. Why don't you resign before you're kicked out?
I've got 3 months concurrent.
Oh,
Hey, he also told me I should have nothing to do with the likes of you. Bad company, it would seem.
Bit hard in there.
You were real lucky Mrs. Morris spoke up for you.
Lucky nothing. I shamed her into it. Reminded her of what it was like when she was a prisoner in here. If it wasn't for me, she wouldn't have done it.
If it wasn't for you, she wouldn't have had to.
What are you talking about? Bea should have killed the freak when she had the chance.
Margo, why don't you quit while you're behind? Besides, you never know who might be listening. Come on, you lot, back to work.
It's great, isn't it? I stick my neck out and that bitch Morris gets all the credit.
I think I'll get out of this place whilst I'm still in one piece.
Joan? I'm not surprised.
Yes. Well, officer solidarity is one thing, but victimisation is just not on. The sooner she leaves, the better.
You mean she's resigning?
Oh, she'll have no choice. The VJ will have to put in a report, remember?
Well, I wouldn't lay too much faith in that if I were you. You know what the department's like.
Damn the department. He believed Joan was running a book.
No. He gave Smith and Latham the benefit of the doubt, and that's all he did.
That's the same thing.
No, it isn't. There wasn't enough evidence for him to report it.
Well, if he doesn't, I will.
Look, Meg, when are you just going to let things get back to normal?
Because things will never get back to normal as long as that woman continues to work in this place. She shouldn't even be at Wentworth.
Unfortunately, she's an officer.
She's a criminal. It makes no difference that she's wearing a uniform.
It may make no difference to you, but it has to me. If my officers don't...
That's ridiculous.
Is the governor gone?
She's seeing the VJ to his car.
I expect she's got quite a lot to talk about.
Yes, there are 1 or 2 matters I'd like cleared up myself. Oh, Governor, could I have a word with you if it's convenient?
Well, no, it isn't at the moment, but I'd like to see all the senior staff in my office first thing in the morning. Would you arrange that, please, Mrs. Powell?
Yes, Mrs. Davidson.
Mrs. Davidson?
Yes?
I take it the VJ's going to make a report.
Certainly, but it won't be going any further. I'm sorry, Meg, but the department
wants things smoothed over as quietly as possible. I see. So Ferguson gets away with it again. And if that's not bad enough, we're introducing stricter security measures to make life even worse for the women.
Well, I don't have any choice. And the women must learn that we run the prison, not them. Our record hasn't been very impressive lately, and if I hadn't introduced tougher discipline, the department would have insisted on it. They regard Miss Ferguson as an example to us, not someone to be sacked.
So if we all want to keep our jobs, we just have to kick the women a few more times.
That isn't fair. The rules are quite clear. And when discipline has been maintained, there'll be room for review, not before.
But the end doesn't always justify the means.
What's this meeting about?
You know as much as I do.
Well, I hope the governor hasn't changed her mind about tougher security measures. They'll be needed more than ever now that Smith and Latham have got off scot-free.
I'm sure Mrs. Davidson will take whatever steps are necessary.
Because I don't think we need any new regulations. Just implementing the existing ones will do.
For example?
Well, the no communication rule. Now, the rules definitely state that officers must not communicate with prisoners except to give orders.
Yes, well, everybody knows that's the rule, but it's impossible to stick to.
It is in here. What can you expect when some of the staff think more of the prisoners than they do their fellow officers?
If my memory serves me correctly, Miss Ferguson, you're as guilty as the rest of us.
Precisely. That's why the rule should be strictly adhered to. Now, if I were Deputy Governor, I would...
Which you're not. Okay. Let's get something straight. I don't like you. You shouldn't even be here. With feelings running so high, I would have kept you on sick leave until things quietened down. However, you are here. So you'll just remember, I'll decide what action to take, and you will follow the orders.
Good. We both want the same thing, then. A quiet, efficiently run prison. Because if there's any more trouble, some of us may not be as good at holding on to our jobs as others.
God, how much longer do we have to wait? This place is going to the dogs, you know.
Well, I wouldn't know. Haven't been in here that long.
Yeah, we haven't missed much. I've got a good mind to go over the wall again.
You've escaped before.
Yeah, not from here, from Barnhurst. And I nearly got out of the men's prison too, except that mongrel Ferguson caught me. She was just waiting for me.
But escapes need careful planning and friends on the outside.
How would you know?
Oh, just repeating what I've heard from mates. A few of them are ex-crims.
Name one.
No way. Anyway, they're all interstate.
Doubt whether you'll have time to drink that. Mrs. Davidson wants the meeting as soon as the women are at work.
Do you know what it's about?
She mentioned something about giving them an inducement to behave. Did she say anything to you last night?
The only inducement she mentioned was a big stick.
Yeah. Well, you can't blame her. Something has to be done.
You know what should be done, and that's to get rid of Joan.
Not without causing a scandal. My God. She'd bring the union and the department into it.
So what? I've got nothing to hide. Have you?
No, of course I haven't. Come on, we all bend the rules occasionally. Now, what about the no communication rule? When was that last enforced?
Well, never, thank God.
There you go. Now, that rule clearly states that officers shouldn't get involved with the prisoners.
I noticed you were pretty concerned with Susie Driscoll when she was in here.
Yes, and with Carole Lewis. And I remember you didn't exactly approve of that.
Now, that was different.
Not to mention Steve Faulkner's involvement with Sandy Edwards, Joan Ferguson with Hannah Simpson. You could go on forever. Also, Meg, if you hadn't got involved with Judy Bryant and the halfway house, ended up doing time in here yourself. Perhaps there just shouldn't be any communication between the officers and the prisoners.
Colleen, all relationships need communication.
We're not here for relationships. We're custodians, not social workers.
Keepers, you mean? We might as well be working in a zoo. What's the hold-up?
I'll be here soon enough.
Ben, I've been thinking, we got to do something for Mrs. M. I mean, we owe her one, don't we?
What for? I made her do it.
Oh, that's what you say. If it wasn't for her, we'd be in solitary by now. Probably for months. We've got to say something, Ben.
Yeah, that's right.
No, you'll do nothing. Don't suppose she's very popular with the other screws for what she did, do you? You start being nice to her, they'll really have it in for her.
3 cheers for Mrs. M, eh? Hip, hip, hooray! Quiet! Quiet! Hey!
A lot of you, listen, if there's any more of this, you'll all be on report. Now get in your line up.
I told you to shut up.
I was only trying...
Latham!
Right. You see what happens? They are deliberately trying to cause trouble between you and the other officers. You only have to look at Gaffney to see that.
Well, I hope you lot are satisfied. You never listen, do you?
Oh, it was Margo who started.
Margo is a moron. What do you expect? Hell, I had just finished telling you not to do anything.
Didn't hear you say anything.
What are you, deaf as well as stupid?
I was thinking about something else.
Oh, well, there's a first time for everything. Care to tell me what you were thinking about?
It's her.
If this is her first time inside, I am the Queen of England. We were talking about escaping before, and she knew all about it. Reckon some ex-crim mates told her.
And why would she lie?
Well, she could be a plant from the cops or something.
That's what Chrissie reckons. Well, if you're right, you're in real trouble after the way you shut your mouth off yesterday.
I'm serious, V. There's something real strange about her. I reckon you ought to be watching her.
Oh, don't you worry, I am. I'm keeping my beady eye on you as well. Any more smart aleck tricks like that and I'll use your head as a football.
As you know, some people doubt the new security measures will have the desired effect unless the women are given sufficient incentive to cooperate.
If they know we're going to come down on them like a ton of bricks, that'll be incentive enough.
The trouble with physical violence is that it can work both ways.
Quite. So I have decided to instigate a point system. Each woman will be given 1 point each day. These points will go towards a grand total throughout the prison. When the prison has earned sufficient points, the women will get extra privileges. If a prisoner is put on a charge, she will lose 5 points.
Of course. That way, she not only lets herself down, but she lets the other women down as well.
If they behave, they get 1 point. If they're put on a charge, they lose 5?
That's right.
Well, hardly seems fair to me.
Well, perhaps for minor offences, those not justifying a formal charge, they could lose, say, well, just 1 point.
Certainly. We want to give them the maximum incentive to cooperate.
Yes, well, the difficulty with minor offences is that they're difficult to define. A woman can say something in a certain way. Now, it could be insolence, but it could just be normal speech.
Oh, I think we can rely on our own experience to decide that.
A better way would be to stop them talking altogether. That's what the rule book says anyway. There should be no communication between officers and prisoners except to give or receive orders.
Oh, I'm sorry, I can't agree with that. That's ridiculous.
I'm not so sure. Getting involved with the prisoners has always caused trouble in the past. The women seem to exploit any show of kindness. Yes. If we're going by the book, let's go the whole way. I think it's a good idea.
So do I.
When you have earned sufficient points, you will get special privileges. 1,000 points will buy you a television set. 800
That could
points...
take months.
The whole prison is involved, Smith. You could have a television set within 3 weeks if you all behave.
Fat chance of that.
Why can't we all just chip in and buy a TV set? We'll be willing, wouldn't we?
Yeah. You obviously don't understand. The points don't buy you a television set. They buy you the privilege of having it.
Having a television is not a privilege nowadays. Everyone ought to have one.
I don't need to remind you that all of this is entirely your own fault. If the prison had not been set on fire, these restrictions would not be necessary.
Not everyone was to blame for burning the prison down. So why should they all suffer?
I'm not going to argue with you, Smith. Now, there is one more thing. We intend implementing the no communication rule. In future, officers will only give prisoners orders. Prisoners will only speak to officers when spoken to, or when they wish to see me or a social worker.
We haven't even got a social worker.
One will be brought in when necessary. I will not have my officers wasting their time on social work. If you all cooperate, there is no reason why life should be difficult under this system. If not, you only have yourselves to blame. Now, to show our good faith, I intend giving you 200 points to start off.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, well, they've got to give us something, haven't they?
Yeah.
Otherwise, how can they take it away?
This offer is not acceptable to you, Smith? Very well. You can all start from 0. Keep an eye on us, folks.
Governor?
You just don't know how to keep your mouth shut, do you?
Again, Gaffney, I didn't quite hear you.
All right, any fighting and you'll all be on a charge. And that should be worth about 100 points. So it's up to you.
Why did you do it, V? At least we'd have had to start towards the TV.
You wouldn't have got it anyway. It's just a carrot there dangling under your nose. The closer you get to it, the more they've got you under control.
Oh, listen to the newcomer. She's making sense.
Yeah. For someone who's never been inside, Carter, you certainly know the score, don't you?
Like B said, It's just common sense.
Yeah, of course.
Pass the salt, please. Thank you. Come on, Meg. Something had to be done.
Not this.
Well, why not? It's worth a try. What else could we do?
You know what should be done.
Look, just because you disagree with official policy, it doesn't mean that we can't talk.
Oh, yes, that's the new rule, isn't it? No talking.
God.
Well, what can we talk about? I mean, we can't talk about our job. We disagree about that. I can hardly talk about my home life now that I'm divorced.
There are other things.
Name one. We spent every waking moment here. What else have we got to talk about? Perhaps we could talk about Patrick's job.
Might as well while he's still got it.
Hasn't been sacked, has he?
No, not yet. But it's on the cards. Just have to keep our fingers crossed. God, don't know what we'll do if he does get sacked. 2 kids at school, mortgage, interest rates soaring every day.
I'm sorry.
Look, Meg, I would like to see the back of Joan Ferguson as much as you would. But if it's a choice between her and me, well, at the moment, I'm just going to have to put up with her.
Hey, Margo, take over the press, will you?
Oh, yeah. Right, Beth.
Thanks for backing me up earlier in the dining room.
I didn't think you needed backing up.
Normally I don't, but at the moment things aren't normal.
I wouldn't know.
Margo said you've got mates on the inside.
That's right. Interstate.
Where?
Sydney.
Well, some of the girls here have done time in Sydney. They might know your mates.
Maybe.
Well, if you ever want to get a message through...
I don't. The only message I want to get through is that I want to be left alone. I'm only in here for a few weeks and then out. I don't want to get involved.
Fair enough. Let's hope it works out.
Oh, Mrs. Morris, I'd like you to prepare the points charts for the recreation room, please.
Yes, what did you have in mind?
Well, it shouldn't be too difficult. Put the names of the women down one side and the number of points scored by each name and a grand total at the bottom.
I'm sure I'll manage.
You don't like the point system, do you? Well, it was you who suggested that the women should have some sort of incentive to behave.
Well, I'm not sure if it's an incentive for the women or an opportunity for certain officers to make life unbearable for them.
Well, that depends on the women. When you've finished it, would you please pin it on the recreation room board? If you want me, Heather, I shall be at Driscoll House.
Oh, do you think that's wise?
What do you mean?
Associating with an ex-prisoner? I mean, in view of these new rules.
Oh, for heaven's sake, Mrs. Morris, I am a member of the PRG.
Well, so am I. I mean, how do you reconcile that with not talking to prisoners?
I don't have to. We're trying to teach them they have to abide by a set of rules. How else will they succeed when they get out?
They'd have a much better chance if they were treated like adults and not children.
This is neither the place nor the time to discuss it. Besides, I have to see Judy. Since Tony resigned, she's been managing the halfway house on her own.
Well, the way things are going, if anyone was trying to get me to resign, they couldn't do a better job than they are now.
Want one?
Oh, yeah. I'll pay you back when we get our buyout back.
Don't worry. I can afford it. By the time I get out of here, I'll have saved about $20.
Hey, come on.
Oh, yeah, sorry, Pete. Jean's getting very friendly all of a sudden, isn't she?
She knows we're watching her.
Do you reckon she's a copper's nut then? Oh, no, she couldn't be. She never asked no questions.
She wouldn't if she was good at her job. She'd just watch and listen, and that's what we should do.
Thank God for that.
All right, ladies. Recreation period. Come on.
You coming, Ben?
Yeah, I'll catch up with you. Mrs. Morris, thanks for what you did at the hearing.
It's not necessary, Bea.
Well, I don't know any other screws to nick out for me. I'm sorry about those other idiots giving you 3 cheers earlier on, but Margo never knows when to shut her mouth.
Doesn't matter. As long as it worked out for everybody.
Well, it didn't for everybody. Mouse and Barbara got the blame for the fire.
Well, they could have been responsible.
Oh, come on, Mrs. Morris. The cops know who threw that firebomb. They questioned her long enough at Woodridge.
Margo.
Oh, you know the rules, Mrs. Morris. We're not allowed to talk to the screws.
$20, $22, $24, $26, $27.65. Now, according to this book, we're $20 short.
Well, maybe I made a sale and forgot to ring it up.
Ellen, if that had happened, you would be over, not under.
What's this, high finance?
Oh, it's high, all right, but I don't think it's finance. Oh, sorry. Mrs. Davidson, this is Ellen.
Hello, Ellen. How you going?
I'm going to leave you $7. 65 cents is a cash float, and will you be more careful, please? Come through. She is so vague. I don't know whether she's losing the money or spending it. I don't think she knows either.
Well, can't you get someone else to help you in the shop?
Oh, what if I could? You know, I've been working here 16 hours a day since Tony left. I mean, Myra and the PRG women, they've all wanted to help, but they've got their own jobs. Quite frankly, I don't think I can take much more. Driscoll House?
Oh, Judy, it's Meg Morris here. Is Mrs. Davidson there yet?
Oh, yeah, I'll get her. It's Meg Morris.
Thank you. Yes, Mrs. Morris.
I'm sorry to bother you, Mrs. Davidson, but I've just had a very strange conversation with B. Smith. She practically told me that it was Margo who threw that firebomb, and she claims the police also know about it.
Really? I wonder what she's up to.
Well, I've no idea, but I think her claim should at least be investigated.
Yes, of course. I'll speak to you about it in the morning.
In the morning? Don't you think...
No, I do not. I'm sorry, Mrs. Morris, but I have things to attend to here. Have the women seen the points chart yet?
No, not yet.
Well, would you attend to that, please, and put a copy on my desk?
Yes, Mrs. Davidson.
Pay attention, please, ladies. Now, this is the chart that will record the number of points you earn. Target's up here on the right-hand side. There'll be 1,000 points for a television set and so on. Now, I don't have to point out to you that a duplicate book will be held by the staff, so it'll be impossible to cheat.
Not impossible, only more difficult.
What was that, Birdsworth?
Oh, I just said I wonder how many points we started off with, Miss Ferguson.
Just one day's total. Because it's a pity you lost the 200 points that Mrs. Davidson offered you in the first place.
Oh, look now, but I think she's having a go at you.
I didn't know better. I'd say she was trying to make me lose points. Hey, Mrs. Morris, don't suppose any chance getting 2 points on Sundays, you know, double time.
Don't be insolent, Smith. You've just lost your day's point.
That wasn't important.
Of course it wasn't. If it was, she'd be on a charge. Then she'd have lost 5 points.
See what I mean?
Hey, why'd you stick up for B before?
Because she was right.
I noticed her asking you a lot of questions after that.
She's not the only one.
You're a real chatty bitch, aren't you?
Like I said, I won't be here much longer. All I want is to be left alone, okay?
What makes you think you will be? They took your fingerprints when they arrested you, didn't they?
No, they didn't. I wouldn't let them.
Well, they took them when you were brought in here. You're a crim now. They stick your dabs on a computer in Canberra these days. You're never going to be left alone again.
This computer, does it cover all the states?
Well, I suppose so. Covers the rest of the world as far as I know. Big Brother is watching you. Oh, bugger it.
Now, what exactly did Smith say to you yesterday?
She hinted very strongly that Margo threw that firebomb. She said the police know about it, everybody knows about it.
Did she offer any evidence?
No.
Is she prepared to testify in court?
You know she wouldn't do that. She'd never testify against another prisoner.
Well, she had plenty to say to you yesterday. My order was no communication between prisoners and staff.
It's not the point. If the police think Margo's responsible, there must be some evidence.
They found traces of cleaning fluid and the rag used for the firebomb in her dorm.
Well, there you are, then.
She admitted nothing. All Gaffney said was that Smith and Latham conspired to attack Joan Ferguson.
It's hardly enough to convict someone of arson and murder.
But it's enough to reopen the inquiry.
The inquiry is closed. Latham admitted starting one fire. Somebody else started another. Fields deliberately came into my office when she could have left the prison. And if your evidence to the VJ is to be believed, Joan Ferguson is responsible for the whole thing anyway. How many people do you want to blame? Reopening the inquiry will help nobody. But he could certainly harm some people. For example, the turpentine should never have been stored in the area where the fire started.
The women believe that Margo started that fire and she's getting away with it.
Hardly. She's locked up in here.
All right, then, she appears to be getting away with it. But they know that there's a cover-up and that the department's involved. Now, how are we supposed to keep their respect?
Oh, well, we don't have that anyway.
Perhaps we don't deserve it.
That's enough. I agree. Something should be seen to be done. But there will be no more inquiries. We will handle it ourselves.
All right, on your feet.
Why? You're jumpy, aren't you, Carter? Relax. It's not you. Not this time. Now, Gaffney, get your things out of your cell.
Where am I going?
You're moving to where there are no matches and cleaning fluid to play with.
You can't do that.
Don't disobey an order.
You can walk or be carried.
Look, how long am I going to be there?
You'll find out. Hurry up.
I want to see a lawyer.
Move.
You rotten bitches, what are you picking on me for? I ain't done nothing.
Move.
Well, what do you know? The right one's copped it at last.
Alan.
Well,
now listen, you.
What's happening?
I thought I told you to open the shop.
Well, I will.
Well, when? It's already past 9 o'clock.
All right, I'll do it.
Driscoll House?
Oh, g'day, Jude. It's me, Hayes.
Who?
Me, Hazel Kent.
Well, Hazel, I thought you'd turn up sooner or later. You're in a lot of trouble, do you know that?
Yeah. Look, I've been arrested.
Well, why? What happened?
I don't know, I was just looking for a flat. You know, somewhere to live.
Yes, I know. The police were around here the other day.
Miss Bryant, this is Detective Sergeant Tanner, Wentworth CIB. Kent's been arrested for passing stolen money.
Where is she?
Wentworth Police Station.
Okay, I'll come right around. Look, I gotta go.
Oh, don't worry, Jude. I'll open the shop.
Don't bother. We'll make more money if you don't.
Bryant isn't a solicitor, you know. We're not obliged to let her see you. Of course, if you cooperate...
I don't know where the money come from.
You're walking around with nearly $3,000 in your pocket and you don't know where you got it?
Been a lot of places lately.
Like Perth?
What?
The money was stolen in a bank hold-up in WA.
Well, I didn't do it.
Where were you 4 weeks ago?
I don't know where I was 4 hours ago. I mean, look at me. I couldn't rob a bank.
Well, where'd you get the money?
I don't know. Oh, look, all right, I did steal it. I stole it from a woman.
What woman?
I don't know her name.
Well, where was the woman?
Some boarding house somewhere.
You don't remember where. Of course you don't, because there was no woman. The money was stolen from a bank in Perth 4 weeks ago, stolen by a woman with a sawn-off shotgun. Now, we've got a woman, and we've got some of the money. If you're smart, you'll stop telling lies about other women and slop houses and tell us what you did with the rest of the money.
I spent it.
That sounds like a confession to me.
I spent it, but I didn't steal it. Well, I did steal it, but not from a bank. I got it from a woman, okay?
You getting all this down, Constable?
Every word, Sarge.
Good.
It's Judy Bryant.
Show her in.
G'day. Where's Hazel?
She's in the holding cells. We're keeping her there while we type up her statement.
What statement?
The money she was spending was stolen from a bank in WA. We're waiting on a telex for a description of the woman involved.
Hazel couldn't have done that. I mean, that's not her style. She couldn't even rob a piggy bank.
Maybe not in her present condition, but if she was sober...
Look, when Hazel was inside last time, her husband ran off with another woman. They took the kids, and she hasn't been sober since.
You've been with her all the time, Miss Bryant.
Of course not. Look, could I see her?
Why not? Bring her in. When did you last see Kent, Miss Bryant?
Week and a half ago, maybe. She was staying at Driscoll House.
The robbery was 4 weeks ago. Did she have any money then?
Well, I don't know, do I? I mean, if she had money, she wouldn't be staying at the house, huh? How much money was it?
Nearly $10,000. We found 3 on Kent.
G'day, Jed.
Hazel, what have you been up to?
Well, I didn't rob no bank, that's for sure.
I know you didn't, love, but you've got to tell them where you got the money.
I did.
She said she stole it from a woman in a slop house. She can't remember the woman. She can't remember the place.
You're going to have to remember more than that. Just tell them everything you know.
I can't, Jude. Just got it from a woman, you know.
Hazel, I'll get you a solicitor. You're going to need help.
God, it's boring around here with nothing to do. I know. Why don't we get a couple of snails and race them?
It's a nice thought, love, but I don't think I could stand the excitement.
Oh, wouldn't be any point anyway. We haven't got enough dough to run a book.
Well, why don't we play volleyball? We still got the stuff in the store.
Fergo wouldn't let us.
I suppose you can always ask. Want to play volleyball?
You know the rules, Smith. No privileges.
What privilege? All we're asking to do is play with a flaming ball that's lying over in that shed doing nothing, so why not?
You heard what I said, Smith. Another word and you'll be on a charge.
What's going on, Miss Ferguson?
We want to play volleyball.
Well, you have to earn your privileges, Smith.
So how many points is it going to cost us to get a ball to play with?
20.
Okay, you lot.
The women can have an extra half hour's exercise.
Ball to play with. Let's see a show of hands.
We'll show them that we are prepared to give and take if they are prepared to reciprocate.
Oh, Ellen, I thought I told you not to open the shop.
Well, I've got to do me bit to help.
Yes. Were there any messages?
Oh, yes, some nun phone.
A nun?
Yes, some Sister Mersey.
Mercy, Ellen. Mercy. Mersey is where the Beatles come from. What did she want?
Well, I don't know. She just phoned, that's all.
For God's sake, woman, can't you even get a simple message right?
Well, she talked funny.
Yeah, well, she's not the only one.
You want to take over the shop now?
Not yet. I gotta ring legal aid for Hazel.
Come on, Lizzie, get it! Oh, can't you do better than that? There you go, I'm tapped out.
Come on, love. Thank you, time you packed it in. I'll do the same. There you go, Maxine.
That's fair. We lose Lizzie, and you lot lose B.
Yeah, sit down. You all right?
Oh, yeah, but Ticker's doing funny things, though.
I think you should have played it all.
It's better than freezing to death.
Yeah, I suppose it did some good.
You know, I've been figuring it out. We only had 50 points. You lost yours yesterday. Now they've lost another 20. And at this rate, it'll be Christmas before we get a teeth.
Don't you worry. We're not going to go anywhere out of this point system. It's just going to get worse and worse. I wouldn't be surprised if Ferguson starts charging us points to go to the loo.
Come on. Dave would never let it get as bad as that, would she?
I don't know so much. Looks like Ferguson can do what she likes at the moment.
All right, you lot, that's it. Everybody inside.
Hey, Mrs. Davidson said we could have an extra half an hour.
Your half hour's up.
Yeah? Well, I reckon your watch is fast.
Oh, you arguing with me, Daniels?
Hey, Maxie. Forget it.
You're learning, Smith.
Read it. It's a copy of your statement. If you agree with it, sign it.
We got the telex back from WA.
All right, hold on to it. You going to sign it or not?
The Bryant woman said she was going to get Kent a solicitor. Maybe she should wait until he arrives before signing.
She made the statement, didn't she? Why shouldn't she sign it? Here, bottom of the page. Hey, Grab, will I read this telex, please? All right. What does the telex say?
It's a description of the woman who robbed the bank. Height 160 centimetres, weight 60 kilos, hair brown, eyes green, age between 30 and 40.
That's her.
I don't reckon she'd be that heavy.
What's a few pounds? She did it all right. You don't believe this, do you? Nobody forgets where they got $3,000. She must think we're fools. Listen, Tanner, where did you get the money? Kent, dunno. All right, look, I did steal it. What do you want her to do? Draw you a picture? Get on to WA and tell them we're holding their suspect.
It may not be her, Sarge.
So we'll hold her for passing stolen money. Just do as you're told. And arrange to send her to Wentworth.
Right.
And knock before you come back in here. So that's it, Kent. The description from Perth matches you, so you'll be held pending extradition orders.
Well, I didn't do it.
In the meantime, you've been charged with passing stolen money. We've applied for you to be held on remand at Wentworth Detention Centre. Has she been warned that anything she says can be taken down and used as evidence?
Yes, Sergeant.
You agree this is the statement you made and signed?
Suppose so.
Well, take it. Get her out of here.
Let's go.
Oh, good. Look out. Here comes Fergo. We've got to do something about her, Lizzie.
We tried that. That's why we're in this mess.
Yeah, well, maybe Margo was right. We should do it properly and kill the bitch.
Birdsworth?
Yes, Miss Ferguson.
What's that you're wearing? It's not regulation, is it? Get rid of it.
It's me cardi. I've been wearing it for years and nobody's ever complained before.
That's because things have been slack around here. Now get rid of it.
But I'll get pneumonia.
Too bad.
You'd really enjoy that, wouldn't you?
It's insolence, Birdsworth. You've lost your point for the day.
But what?
So have you, Daniels. Now, Birdsworth, if you're not in regulation uniform next time I see you, you'll be on a charge.
That's not fair!
Oh, come on, Lizzie. We've got to do what she says.
It's not fair. It'll kill me. Well, I might as well be dead the way things are in here anyway.
Here.
Look at the bloody thing. It's cotton. That won't keep me warm. God, even in summer this place is like a rotten refrigerator.
Well, why don't you wear a T-shirt under your skivvy? I got one I could loan you.
Yeah. Next thing, the freak will be checking our underwear. I'm not going to be put on a charge because of her. I'd rather freeze to death.
But these aren't against regulation.
Says you. I'm not going to take any chances.
Okay, but it's there if you change your mind.
What's going on?
Oh, Mrs. Morris, Miss Ferguson reckons we got to wear regulation jackets.
We don't have to, do we, Mrs. M?
Of course you do, Lizzie. You've been given an order by an officer. Off you go, Maxie. Why don't you wear this, Lizzie? There's nothing in the regulations to say you can't.
You sure? If it's not against regulations, that bitch Fergo will soon
enough,
find
Lizzie.
some way.
Stop complaining and put that on.
Hate 'em.
Where's Lizzie? She was going to play cards.
She's getting changed.
What on earth for? She hasn't changed her clothes in 20 years.
Virgo says she has to change her cardigan. We've all got to wear regulation uniform. Look at this lot. I feel like a convict. May as well get me head shaved.
Not a bad idea. I'll do it for you if you like.
Oh, it's not funny, Bea. Lizzie needs that cardigan. Well, she's old. She could catch her death. And Mrs. Morris backed up the freak.
She probably had no choice.
Yeah, well, I have. And if things don't improve her any, I'm going over the wall. Wouldn't mind a haircut before I go.
Look, love, the only way we're going to beat Ferguson is by sticking together.
Yeah, well, we tried that before, and it didn't work. She's won. And the bitch knows it.
Do you know what Ferguson's done now? She's forbidden Lizzie to wear her cardigan. She has to wear a prison jacket.
Well, it is the regulation.
And it was you who bought Lizzie that cardigan. Now, I know what Ferguson's up to, and I can even understand Colleen. She'll do anything to hang on to a job. But I cannot understand you. You used to treat the women with some compassion.
And where did it get me? Latham and Smith have both admitted to setting fire to the library and deliberately attacking Miss Ferguson.
For God's sake, they did it because they were frustrated. I'm beginning to understand how they feel.
Meg, if it's all getting too much for you, why don't you...
Resign? That seems to be what everybody wants.
Yes, Miss Ferguson, what is it?
I heard there was a new prisoner being brought in.
Well, I'll leave you to it.
Ellen, what have you done with the sales invoice book? Ellen!
What's that, Jude?
Oh, forget it. I'll find it myself.
Hey, you seem pretty disorganized.
My God. What the hell are you doing here?
That's a nice welcome after all this time. Didn't you get my message?
I got a garbled message about a sister of Mersey, New Jersey. I had no idea it was my own sister.
He used to give me roses. I wish he could again. But that was on the outside, and things were different then. On the inside, the sun still shines, and the rain falls down. But the sun and rain are prisoners too when morning comes around. Last night I dreamed we were together, sharing all the love we'd known, till I had to face the nightmare of waking up alone. On the inside the roses grow, they don't mind the stony ground, but the roses here are prisoners too when morning comes around.